Welcome to Beyond Flow. My name is Tammy and this is Maria. We're your hosts. We're excited to have you with us here today. Our subject is going to be about abundance and how to connect to that energy. And before we start, I just wanted to remind everybody, it helps us greatly if you like the episodes, share them, tell other people. We'd love to have more and more people become a part of this community and help us to grow. So thank you so much for your support. So abundance, big subject, right?
Yep, probably one of our favorite ones. And our customers and our clients and the world.
Yeah, it's a big one. You know, one of the things that we were thinking about with this subject is from the sort of, I guess, what might feel religious but spiritual perspective is the idea of tithing. That's always been something that if you grow up in a church, for example, tithing is something that just sort of becomes this weekly thing you do at the church. You give a percentage of your income.
It's almost
and all
like
of that.
mechanical.
Yeah, mechanical and
thing.
sort of just expected of you, you know? And, you know, I think that the idea of tithing or giving of your income is so much deeper than just giving to your church, you know, paying your pastor's salary or supporting your temple. It's a really important idea because really, I think on one level, money is kind of a challenge. It's got a great energy of a positive energy, but it also has this sort of weighted energy. Mm-hmm. So sometimes I think the idea of tithing is giving away that heaviness, taking a percentage and saying, first of all, I want to support my spiritual growth and what has supported me. But it's also this way of knowing that actually my source of income, my source of prosperity is the Creator.
Wow.
It's not my job, my boss, the paycheck. It's knowing that when I give that, I will be supported, you know?
Yeah, that's I think the key in that is, first of all, that the source of your income, the source of your prosperity, the source of, and then we can talk about what's the difference between prosperity and abundance.
Yeah.
But the concept that you just said about that the source of your income, it's God, it's the Creator. He's the one that is going to put the exact amount of clients, of customers, or deals, or closings, or whatever it is that you need in order to be prosperous.
And it's like I think there's this feeling of we never have enough.
Right.
Like there's never enough in the bank account to cover what has to be covered, to fill the savings account, to pay the credit cards. And that tension is what in some ways keeps us back from expanding. So this sort of, it's not automatic thing we do to give, but this intentional, consistent aspect of tithing or that idea is to open that up.
So when you
release that tension.
When you say trust, so in tithing, when you're tithing, which is 10%, right? So it's, I mean, ideally,
that's the idea,
right? But
number.
There is a meaning behind why 10%. That can be another episode. But when we talk about 10%, it's a lot, right? Like, you know, in whatever you're making, in whatever capacity, 10%, it's a lot. So you go into, well, let me give just very little, or sometimes enough, or sometimes, but I think also tithing can be something that feels uncomfortable, meaning if you have money, if you have a lot of money and you give 10%, it's nothing.
Right.
But if you have a lot of money and you give time, well, that's maybe where the same blessing that comes from tithing, it's like you have an opening to
Yeah.
for that blessing to come. You need to have a vessel where that miracle comes,
And
where that vessel comes.
And that gets built when you do something that's uncomfortable.
Correct.
That goes against what, exactly like you said, like what you feel stable doing or like it's easy to do, then that's probably not the area that you could be more spiritually growing from. It might not even be money.
Correct.
That's a really important point.
And when I was thinking about, so what is the purpose of us creating this episode, is, I think we've all struggled at some point with the idea of money. You grow up maybe thinking money is the root of all evil.
Right.
If you're spiritual, you shouldn't
be rich.
Right. And so I think money, as you said, it's energy. And what do we do with that energy? What do we do with, because too much money, it's like energy, right? You can create electricity, but then too much electricity can, create fire. Right. Chaos. So I think that, first of all, we have to know that to create prosperity, it can only be created from a place where you feel plenty. Where you feel, now, does it mean that your bank account is plenty? Maybe not in this moment, but you have to go into a place in your life where you feel that you have plenty. It could be that you feel plenty at home. So just connect to that energy and feel that you can't create abundance from a place of lack.
Right.
So that's one thing that I was thinking.
Yeah.
And also the importance of having to create abundance and to create money or to create prosperity, you need to have, there's 3 things that you need to have. One is faith. The second, well, actually, no, the first one is you need to have an action. You have to create an action. You create an action. There's an action that you have to take. The second is faith. And then the third is trust. So you have to have faith that when you, well, let me go back to, because I always go to faith first, but the action is the physical, right? In this,
the idea taking, building the thing or taking,
or so you have to create an action. You have to, this is the way that this world was created. We need to have a physical action so that we can have that intention. So that's why the action always has to come first. Then we go into having faith that what we are planting, right?
Yeah.
It's going to bear fruit.
Yeah.
So that's where faith comes in. And then you trust. You trust that what you are creating and what you're having faith, it's going to come to in the right timing.
Yeah.
But I think it's also very important to, because I was thinking about this in my own life. And, when we've created, you can create something and you go through the struggles, right?
Yeah.
The struggle is not bad because the struggle helps you get in touch with a part of you that you didn't know you had. Maybe resilience.
Yep.
Maybe to know that as you are creating something, it's not meant to, okay, so we create something and tomorrow is going to be,
Right. That's thing about planting a tree. You
Right.
put the seeds in the ground, and do you expect that tomorrow the whole tree's grown and there's, fruits coming and you're making a salad from it? No, you know that once you put that seed in the ground, eventually it's going to begin to grow, and you patiently release the tension around it. You keep watering it.
Right.
You keep being in harmony with that earth, but you let go of the worry if it's going to happen or not.
So the worry, I want to read something from, this is from Marianne Williamson. It's short. But since you mentioned the worry behind, when we are trying to create abundance and prosperity. So she says, I think the name of the book is The Laws of Success or something like that. I'll probably put it in the
notes.
In the notes, yeah. So she says, the idea that you must struggle in order to experience abundance, whether in the form of love relationships, money, or anything else, interferes with the natural magnetism that otherwise brings abundance forth. There is a difference between having to work and having to struggle. Work is a creative effort, a righteous extension of positive energy that attracts abundance. Struggle is a perversion of creative energy based on a misunderstanding of one's basic relationship to the universe. Anxiety and struggle do not attract your good.
Wow.
So that's why when you said we don't have to struggle, we don't have to, doesn't mean we don't have to work and have an action. But that is, I think, something that it's very important for everyone to understand that when we are starting a business or doing something to create abundance, number one, there has to be an extension of you so that you can create an opening for that blessing to come.
Yeah.
And then know that when we take an action, we have faith that that it's not, you are co-creating with God.
Yeah.
Because God wants to give you even more than what you're asking for.
Yeah, and sometimes, in the process, you want it to bear fruit, next month, and the cosmic plan is it's going to be a couple of years. So just, keep doing your part. It reminds me of this story, which I wanted to share, and it's totally like what you're talking about. So, everybody knows this story about this person has a dream that the creator comes to him and says, I want you to push the boulder. Right? And so this guy pushes the boulder and pushes the boulder and pushes the boulder, and it never budges. It never moves. Day after day after day, year after year, goes into despair and sadness, and I'm a failure, and I was given this vision and it's not working, and basically wants to give up. And the creator says, listen, I told you to push it, I never told you to move it. And look at what has happened to your body. Your legs have grown, your back muscles have grown, your arms have grown. You have completely reconditioned yourself, and it was because that strength that is needed in your life needed to come from effort.
Wow.
And I'm going to move it. You don't need to move it. So, it's understanding that it's a big picture here, this whole experience. And when we let go of controlling how things move, how they happen, but we do our part, like you said, we take our action and we continue with certainty, and we listen to the guidance through our intuition, and we make the shifts as we need to. It's going to work.
And also, I think that it also helps knowing, I love that, especially like what happens during what he was pushing the rock. It's not just the creator saying, I'm going to
completely rebuild his body. That's what was needed.
And that's what happens when we go through our own pushing through uncertainty, when we're going through something, when we are, because it's not just in relation to money, it's to anything that, in that push is when we are creating our own character too.
Exactly.
And what are we made out of?
Yeah, that's like New York. When we started Flow Life in New York, talk about figuring out what you're made out of. I mean, that was an undertaking,
and that shows you that none of us know what we're doing.
We had no idea. No idea.
Nobody knows.
And you're in a place where it's like you are like bombarded with pressure and just it feels like nothing's really on your side, even the weather, it's from one thing to the next. But you figure out who you are, and I feel like we came out of that experience, and it was amazing in so many ways, but it wasn't easy.
It wasn't easy.
And we came out of it with this new sort of certainty and clarity about what it is we really want to do and what it is we really wanted to become.
Yeah, and that's
and I'm so grateful.
That's
as hard as it was,
and you have to go through those, I guess, I want to say experiences, and maybe that's what we needed to go through to understand the business part. I always tell people when people come to the store and they say, how do I know this? How do I know? But you have to always ask a friend. Ask a friend.
How do you know you're on the right path?
Yeah. How do you know? Like, how do you know if and even how do you know? Do you think I'm with the right person? Do you think I'm this is the right investment? Do you think this is the right property to buy? Well, first, the most important thing is you have to go within. Always, you have to take and Paramahansa Yogananda talks about it all the time. Before you make a decision, before you make any decision, you go within. That's where meditation, you can't separate money and spirituality.
No.
They go hand in hand. So one of the things that I always tell people is you have to go within so that you'll know in your intuition, trust your intuition, and then go ask a friend, a true friend. And that friend will tell you from the outside perspective if that's a right, there doesn't mean that you're gonna do exactly what your friend tells you, but it's gonna help you if it's a true friend.
Yeah, someone that wants the best.
Someone
for
that
you.
wants the best for you. If it's the right decision or not. And the other thing also is that before we do something, and even after, it's to keep things concealed. Keep things in anything when we're doing an investment, when we're about to sign
when you're
something.
Beginning something.
When you're beginning something.
Yeah.
And people say sometimes, well, when do I share it with the world? You share it when it's a done deal.
Right.
Otherwise, you keep that blessing to with you and the parties that
you
are.
Keep it concealed.
But you keep it concealed.
It's ready to be revealed, till it's strong enough to be revealed and strong enough to withstand criticism, strong enough to withstand the doubters, strong enough to withstand
your ego,
your own
ego,
your own doubts,
or your own fears.
Your own fears.
Correct.
So it's strong enough to sort of withstand that those moments, because it's too early. I remember when we were first starting at Flow Life, it was like, what, you're gonna go where and you're gonna do what?
You're gonna go to New York.
That's a horrible idea.
You're not gonna make
all
it.
You're gonna do is work. You're not gonna have a life, And it was like some really negative. But we were at that point so clear. I mean, as clear as we could be on that we were gonna do it. But I'll never forget some of those words, and I know that those can really affect you.
Because words, it's not only the words that people say to you, but it's also the words that you say to yourself. So the moment you say, I'm not going to make enough money, I am not, and this takes me to, I want to tell this because I love Bible stories. Like I just, but the words that you say have an impact.
Yeah.
And the words that you hear.
Yeah.
So I'm probably not going to tell the story exactly as it is, but I guess the message is going to be what matters. So there's this woman that she lost everything. The husband passed away, and she goes to her sage, to her teacher. But the teacher was a sage, was a very like elevated master, big time. So she goes to him and she says, my husband passed away and I lost everything. And so he goes, well, what do you have in your house? And sell everything. And she says, I don't have anything. So he says, well, what you go to your house and whatever you have, I want you to use it. So she says, all I have is like a pitcher or a jar with oil. So he says, okay, I want you to go close the door, and I want you to go to the village, and I want you to ask everyone in your neighborhood, your neighbors, for a little vessel, so that you can pour the oil that you have.
Okay.
So she goes to her house, and she asks everybody for a little vessel, and she starts pouring the oil. And she pours the oil, and she says, with that oil, you're gonna sell that oil. That's how you're gonna make your money, with the little oil that you have. And she says, but I don't have enough
Very
oil.
much.
How I'm gonna make money? But then she gets home, she closes, and she gets all the little vessels, and she starts pouring the oil. And there's so much oil that is coming from that jar. And then she tells the son, let me have another. And the son says, there's no more vessels. There's no more. And she says, then we don't have another vessel. Then there's no more oil. And then the miracle stopped.
Oh, wow.
Because she said,
Wow.
that the oil will stop. Now, I don't know, get a shoe,
Right.
get it's a vessel. It didn't have to be. So there's two parts of this story, is that we can't get too caught up in the details, how the blessing comes.
Right.
You can't, because this life is not about creating something from a place where we think it's the way that the money is going to come, the prosperity and the abundance is going to come.
Right.
And why the sage said close the door is because to keep that miracle concealed.
And totally.
So what we say what she said in that moment had a
Like immediate impact.
Immediate, right? Like, okay, so the oil stopped flowing. So what we say to ourselves and what we tell people.
Yeah.
That's why when people say, I'm doing this business, but I'm afraid. Well, fear it's normal. Sometimes fear is the fuel.
Right.
And then you overcome it, and then the blessing is on the other side of fear.
Yeah.
But I don't tell people, oh, you're crazy. You don't do that. That's very risky. Go within, and that's if you're feeling in your heart that that's your path, God and the Creator will show you.
I think that's the ticket too, and I think that's where like affirmations and things like that can play into helping us get out of that mindset of the fears and the second guessing. That's why affirmations have always been such a great tool, because you're repeating the positive. You're repeating as though everything's okay, and you're reminding yourself, and you're telling yourselves that, and you're telling the universe that. It's big.
And then there is I think we have, just like we have physical laws, then we have spiritual laws, and then we have prosperity laws, financial laws. And one of the things that, so we talk about, okay, what do we need to create abundance? So we said it, we have to extend a little bit of ourselves, then we have to have an action, when we have to have faith, then trust. But what can block the abundance? So one of the things is that you never do anything that will create in someone else's, that can interfere with someone else's abundance.
Right.
You never want to do anything that will take from someone else's
livelihood.
livelihood.
It's like exactly.
Livelihood.
Yeah.
I like that word.
You want to think that what you're doing is contributing in a positive way and all of those things. But if you have to hurt someone else's abundance to get there,
that creates
it's karma.
That creates karma.
It's not good. And even separate from your own business, just we reviews are a big thing in in the world these days. People write reviews online and review the store, so it has become like a really significant judgment in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And you always talk about that, when people
just because reviews, it's not a good thing. It came, I think reviews came from a good place, but it actually, I know that it's a way that people get to know a business, or maybe how the reputation of that business. But I don't like reviews, I welcome reviews, but
right.
What I don't like is, especially these days, is where are those reviews coming from? Now people make businesses out of writing reviews. So is it really from your heart?
Yeah.
And then what happens is when you write a review because you had a bad experience, which is very personal, and then you're doing it to hurt someone's
that's the point
business.
Yeah. That's
the part that I think that creates, it doesn't create a blessing.
Well, and it's like, you can, you're intentional, you can have a bad experience, or there can be something, and you can go to the management and talk to them, or, understand that things happen. But I think a lot of times people say negative things with the intention
of hurting,
to hurt someone's livelihood, and it's a bigger concept than just a review.
Correct.
It is a spiritual concept that intentionally hurting someone's livelihood is in some way in your life going to reap a problem. It is, because I think that our livelihood is a sacred thing, and the tension behind money and abundance, in that insecurity and that lack and all those things, it's all because our ego gets so involved.
Mm-hmm.
If we were all operating from a more of a place of unity and support, being happy for each other, wanting each other to succeed, wanting to see people flourish, it would be overflowing in all of our vessels. There's no limits to what the universe has for each person, for each business, for each family. And it's something that I think if we can practice that unconditional support and for ourselves and for others, we will see our environment, we will see what's around us, things get better and better.
I with that, I remember I have a friend, and she was going through some financial things, and she's a doctor, so it's not like she's doesn't have abundance, but she was going through something, and nothing that I said, well, light a candle, do this, do that, and nothing was nothing. There was not an opening. Nothing was happening, and then I don't know if it was a dream or I was meditating, but something came to me, and I called her and I said, I think that I know what is it that you're missing, and I said, you need to volunteer. And she goes, volunteer? I don't have time. I said,
exactly.
That's it. So you have to do, going back to that, it's like we have to do something always that it's outside of us. And I think it's so important to always remember. It doesn't mean, and also with that is that the Creator will always give us exactly what we need.
Right.
And and you can say, well, I mean, a person that is poor can be happy. It's not a millionaire, but they're happy.
Mm-hmm.
They can be happy. A person that has millions and billions,
they can be unhappy.
They can be unhappy.
It's not
right.
right.
But it's important to remember that we didn't come here just to be millionaires and to have thousands and millions. It's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
Actually, I think it's important to have a big desire. It's important to have, to want more, but not to the point where, when is it enough? When
Right.
is it that you can say to yourself, it's like at the end of the day, for me, home is where my life starts when I get home. My life doesn't start when I make money.
Right.
What I do every day when I come to the store, when I'm here, it's a spiritual, but I don't go home and, oh my God, I had such a long day and I'm so miserable. No, life. So that's abundance. That's being
Absolutely.
abundant.
Absolutely.
And that's being prosperous.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you're rich in money,
Right.
but you have that harmony
Yeah.
between your what you want to accomplish in this lifetime, and then being able to understand what true prosperity is.
Yeah.
That is not, you cannot measure. You can measure money, and you can have a certain amount of money in the bank account, but you cannot measure. No calculator can measure love, health, peace of mind.
Yeah.
Peace.
Yeah.
I think you mentioned something about peace. What truly prosperity is, just having that peace.
Yeah. I think about the store too, and I think about how through all of these years, there's every day is a different day in terms of how many people come, how many sales there are, and all of those technical things. But I know truly that there have been days where there hasn't been a lot of people, but there might be one who comes in and truly has an inspired experience that uplifts their spirit. And we end up hearing about it a year later, 6 months later. Sometimes you just know, you can tell, that person leaves with a light around them that wasn't there when they arrived. And to me, that is success. To me, that is, I've learned to understand that. And the next day some day's going to make up for a day being slow. The bills are going to get paid, the rent's going to get paid. And that knowing from within that it's an abundant experience to see somebody else's life improve, or just feel that they move from despair to hope, it's the greatest.
That's why we open the doors.
That's why.
Every morning when we open the doors, is not with, yes, you have an intention, you want abundance, because the more you have, the more you can give.
Yeah.
But it's not the only motivation that you have. It's
actually not the motivation. Hopefully it's a repercussion that, comes. But the motivation, if the motivation is simply dollars and cents, I think we're going to chase it for the rest of our lives, and it'll never be enough.
Never be enough.
I think generosity and gratitude are tickets to success.
Because with gratitude, you know that you are getting exactly what you are meant to have. You're being grateful because of, we have to be grateful even for the things that have not yet manifested.
That's right.
So
talk to our future self.
And I wanted to end with one more thought, is that no energy is ever wasted, because nature, God, doesn't like to waste anything. So no energy is ever, absolutely ever wasted.
Yeah.
Every effort, every tear, every sleepless nights that we have, and anything that comes truly from the heart, it will never be wasted.
It's like every proposal,
right?
Every door that closes, every no, none of it's wasted. Eventually the yeses are going to come. We have to stay consistent. That's why we create candles. That's why we create tools to remind people to stay consistent in that vision and that path. But eventually the yes is going to come. It always does.
It always does. So that's what I wanted to end it with.
Beautiful.
That never feel that what you're doing, it's not going to be, I don't want to say
rewarded.
Yeah, right. But maybe that's the word.
Yeah.
That at some point, no matter what we do, if it comes from that place that is pure in the heart, God sees it. When it will manifest, that's where trust comes in.
Love it.
So an amazing and abundant rest of the year.
Amen.